a well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
There is a government regulation of the sale and ownership of firearms. Some states vary on the topic of home, varying from the maximum amount to the minimum amount of gun control those states can impose on the residents. They will reconcile both the minds of the liberal and the conservative.
No, because they're dangerous. Given my time in the military, one of the things I found was people who really like guns, probably people who shouldn't have guns. I don't want one because the chance, I mean, they're there to kill people. That's what they're made for. Gun control means limiting access to and ownership of weapons. I think the crime rate would probably stay the same. I think the incidence of crimes with firearms would eventually go down. I think it kind of depends on how it was enforced and implemented. It would be nice if people chose not to have firearms.
Liberals feel that guns are completely unnecessary and they're for purpose They feel that guns will be dangerous to citizens, lives of citizens who live in small communities such as the one I live in now. Some said the fewer the guns, the better. They feel that a ban on guns would lower the crime rate. And the best possible solution for Congressman Danny Davis is the complete elimination of guns.
Well, let me just tell you, it's a realistic proposal for me. I believe that if you can reduce the number of guns in circulation in our society, you reduce the likelihood and the possibility that individuals who will use those guns in a negative way will have access to them. I believe that guns are made to kill people with. And if you can keep them out of circulation, you reduce the number of people who are going to be killed. So I think that gun control is a very desirable activity. I am 100% in favor of it and will continue to be 100% in favor of it.
No, I do not. I actually have a carry and conceal license. That was good 3 years ago. And I've chosen not to carry except when I feel necessary. Yes, anytime. Most of my experience with firearms has been with the hunting, sport, rifles, shotguns, etc. I do own a couple of handguns. I think there would make that significant difference. I think people who have an intent to do harm to other people will find means to obtain a weapon of some type to do that harm. My personal stand is I would be against it, first of all, because it's a Second Amendment right for us to bear and carry firearms. So when you talk about the rights of Americans, you know, First Amendment is the right of free speech, etc. I look at the overall first 10 amendments, and that's what we know as we call the Bill of Rights. They were all ratified on the same day by the existing Congress at that time. So if you start messing with one of those 10 amendments and say, hey, this is not right or that's not right, really you're talking about a whole body of amendments, or 10 of them. And so then I think you're starting to talk about constitutional issues at that point in time, which so far the courts have upheld and said it's perfectly legal. Guns, I think, are a weapon to be used by responsible citizens.
Conservative view is completely opposite to that of the liberal view. These people view gun control, defending their rights as U.S. citizens, to defend their unalienable rights and the right to protect themselves. The way they see guns, as studies support it, is that guns actually reduce crime. In cities where guns are legal to carry, crime rate has actually dropped and put in the hands of responsibility of citizens. In other countries where gun control was enforced, crime rate has risen through the roof.
The most important right we have as Americans is the freedom of speech, and that includes the freedom of religion. It's first in the Constitutional Bill of Rights because without it, none of the rest would be possible. The right to bear arms is the Second Amendment because without it, we could not protect the First Amendment. Never mind the fact that more gun control does not lower murder rates, it actually increases them. Look at this city, Washington, D.C., toughest gun control in the country. The Second Amendment, like the rest of the Bill of Rights, protects citizens from the power of government. People have rights, government has no right. Thomas Jefferson knew the importance of an armed citizenry. He said, "No free man shall ever be debarred from the use of arms."
We are for the Second Amendment. The right to bear arms for U.S. citizens shall not be infringed. It is our right as Americans to defend life. We as Americans should legally be able to defend ourselves when deemed necessary. Property. An armed criminal enters your home, we believe that as Americans we have the right to unarm that suspect, whether that be wounding or fatally injuring that said individual.
We do believe that not all gun control is bad. We believe that there should be certain requirements to purchase a firearm, such as background checks and age requirements. The number of guns purchased at one time should not be restricted to one, however. The state should not be allowed to regulate guns. We do believe crime rates would drop if gun control's grip is loosened, because criminals will be unaware of who is armed and who is unarmed. Therefore, their likeliness to commit a crime will decrease. If the background checks allow it, you will be able to purchase that weapon. Strict gun control is the opposite of the Second Amendment. Your Second Amendment rights, which is a big part of the Constitution. Thank you.
You see, without the Second Amendment, you can't protect the First Amendment, the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, the freedom of press, and the freedom to peaceably assemble without the Second Amendment. And that's just the way it is.